Franny K. Stein, Mad Scientist, Book 10, Mood Science, Chapter 1, Franny's House. The Stein family lived in the pretty pink house with the lovely purple shutters down at the end of Daffodil Street. Everything about the house was bright and cheery. And even though it was bright and cheery, Franny thought that if you just mixed the purple and pink paint together, you could paint the house much faster, and then get on to more important things than the color of the house. Many of Franny's recent inventions were all about mixing things together. She'd gotten the idea the last time she saw her grandma, Granny Franny.
Each of the individual things I put in my soup are good,
she told Franny,
but when they're all mixed together, they somehow make it better.
I wonder what kind of science is at work here, Franny said, holding up her grandmother to stir the pot. I also wonder how you keep getting smaller every time I see you, Granny Fran. I bet that in a couple years you'll be able to take a bath in a spoon, Franny joked.
You might be right, Franny,
Granny Franny said, chuckling.
But just because something is small, that doesn't mean it can't have a huge effect. Have you ever been bitten by a mosquito?
Franny laughed. I get the point, she said.
And thanks for teaching me how to make soup. I can't wait to get back to my lab and make my own version of soup.
Of course, Franny's lab wasn't a pure lab. It was also parts poodle, part chihuahua, part beagle, part spaniel, part shepherd, and part some kind of weaselly thing that wasn't even exactly a dog. His name was Igor, and he was always ready to help Franny with her experiments, except when he was busy with his own stuff. Chapter 2, Putting the Pieces Together. Maybe because Igor was a mix of so many different animals, he had a lot of different interests. He liked cake decorating and karate and banana wrestling, which might sound easy, but Franny had accidentally created a pretty fierce banana, and it was Igor's job to play with it so it didn't become bored and start getting into trouble.
Oh dear, am I ever gonna need all the potassium I'm getting here?
Igor's newest hobby was jigsaw puzzles, which took a long time for him to complete, since his little fingers were kind of stubby and plump. Franny had no interest in solving a puzzle that others had solved before, so Igor put them together by himself. This was fine with Franny because it allowed her to work on her experiment without Igor's help, and sometimes no help was exactly what she was in the mood for. Franny was especially excited about her newest invention, the mixer-upper machine. She'd gotten the idea from Granny Franny's soup. I made it with parts from a broken blender and an old nuclear reactor I had lying around. With it, I can combine good stuff to make something even better. For one of her first mixer-upper experiments, she put a substitute teacher in it with a ruler. The machine made a whirring sound like a blender, and then it dinged like a microwave. When Franny opened the door, the substitute teacher and the ruler had combined to make a foot-long sub. It flopped around on the plate and threatened to make Franny stay after school unless she separated them again. Fine, Franny said. I'll unmix you, but you might be making a mistake. Not everybody likes substitute teachers, but everybody can appreciate a delicious foot-long sub. Change me back, the sub yelled. Okay, Franny said, making some adjustments on the machine. You know, the other teachers warned me about helping you with your experiments. I should have listened to them, the sub shouted. perfectly understandable. Everybody knows you should listen to the teachers, Franny said. The next day she mixed an ice cream cone with a poodle and got a chili dog. I need to adjust this thing. I mean, I get it, but that's not even how you spell chili. Franny stayed up for the next 2 nights figuring out how to mix a duck with a beaver. This will be my greatest achievement yet, she howled, as she led them into her machine and explained it to them. All this device does is chop your molecules into chunks and then join those chunks together in a way that you two could never understand, Franny said with a pleasant smile. So just sit back, relax, and get chucked. The machine made its familiar blender sound and then dinged. The door opened, and Franny's newest creation stepped out. A platypus? Franny shouted. I can't believe I wasted all that time and all I got was a platypus. We already have those. We have a ton of those. This is nothing new. Franny lost her temper. She pounded on her machine and sent laboratory equipment flying. She threw a wrench, which broke open jars from earlier experiments. She kicked the table where Igor was just about to put the very last piece in the puzzle he had been working on for weeks. She could tell he was upset, but she didn't care. Don't even start complaining about it, she yelled. It's just a dumb puzzle. It's not like the big important science experiments I do. You already knew how it was going to look when it was complete. The picture is right there on the box. Igor looked at all the pieces scattered on the floor. He had worked so long on that puzzle. He opened his hand and let the last piece fall to the ground. He walked away, and Franny saw a tear trailing down his face. Oh, it's just a silly puzzle, she shouted at him. A big waste of time. She stomped on the pieces. I probably saved you a lot of worthless effort, she shouted. That was pretty mean, the platypus said. You be quiet, beaver duck, Franny snapped. I can unmix you any time I want.